All of us are put in boxes by a family, by a religion, by a society, a moment in history, even our own body. Some have the courage to break free. Few had a battle to fight every single second of their existence. And even though, if they somehow break the pigeonhole, they're left with certain kind of loneliness.
Abhaya, a teen from Bihar, like any other girl, wanted to study well, make a career of her own, and go conquer the whole sky, as she was strongly capable of doing so. Well, she is already doing pretty good, as she'll be appearing for her boards next year. Great, no? And meanwhile, she was managing a living all on her own, doing data handling job, giving tuitions to other kids, which pays off her rent.
Who is Abhaya? Why she had to do so much at this young age?
मैं जो हूँ मुझे वो दुनिया को दिखाना था, ये नहीं कि जो मैं नहीं हूँ उस चीज़ में जीऊँ और ये चीज़ मैं सबको दिखाऊँ। बेसिकली मैं थी तो एक लड़का, बट जैसे जैसे मैं बड़ी हुई तो मुझे मेरी आइडेंटिटी पता चली। मैक्सिमम 8 इयर्स में तो मुझे पूरा कंफर्म हो गया था कि मैं एक लड़की हूँ, ना कि लड़का।
Abhaya, by the age of 10, was giving signs of not wanting to be a boy. Abhaya's hormone was of a boy, but she didn't want to be the same. She wanted to be a woman. At time when she was asked why she wanted to be a girl, she firmly said, "It's not that I want to be. I am a girl."
मुझे ऐसा फील होता था कि ये बहुत बड़ा भगवान से गलती हो गया कि मुझे एक रॉन्ग बॉडी में वो ट्रांसफ़र कर दिए, जो कि मुझे बहुत इसकी वजह से घुटन होता था कि मैं कैसे रह पाऊंगी, पूरी ज़िंदगी मुझे लड़कों की तरह रहना पड़ेगा, ये एक जेल से कम नहीं है।
When a child is born, a quick glance between her legs determines the gender label that the child carries for life. 1 in 1,000 children is found to be a transgender.
As we know, gender is more of a spectrum. It takes courage to grow up and be who you really are. And perhaps Abhaya and many other trans kids are phenomenally setting an example towards building a place where cost of life is more important and meaningful above anything.
मुझे 5 साल से तो लगता था, बट जब 8 साल होने के बाद मुझे पूरा कंफर्म हो गया था कि मेरा शरीर एक गलत जगह, मतलब कि मेरी आत्मा कुछ और है और शरीर कुछ और। कभी मैं खुद को इमेजिन ही नहीं कर पाती थी कि मैं एक लड़का हूँ।
Here, we need to educate ourselves with genders. A person who identifies themselves as the same gender at the time of their birth is called cisgender. On the other hand, one who identifies themselves opposite to that of their birth sex is what we know as transgender. They feel themselves to be born in the wrong body. In our case, Abhaya was originally born as a boy, but identified herself as a girl ever since she retained her memories. A research done in 2008 says the average age at which a transgender identifies themselves as a transgender is 8 years. More than 80% of them become aware before passing primary school.
A child identifies themselves to be a transgender at an age as young as 4 or 5. There's any other child has right to choose their identity, have exactly equal amount of right for living, leading, educating and nourishing. Being a trans kid does not bring any difference to it.
काफ़ी सारे जो बच्चे हैं, सीनियर्स जूनियर्स, जो हम लोग के क्लासमेट्स भी थे, तो उन्हें तो मेरे पे शक होता था कि हम लड़की हैं या फिर लड़का है। तो मुझे देख करके वो मेरे पे हंसते थे, मेरा मजाक बनाते थे कि अरे ये तो लड़की है, लड़कों की तरह क्यों रहती है।
Being forced to suppress on what they believe they are is exploitation of their own rights. Bullying in school for trans children leads to 30% of them dropping out. NHRC says 52% transgenders were harassed by their classmates and 15% even by teachers, a reason due to which they don't continue their studies.
क्लास 7 तक तो लोग मुझे, मतलब 1 साल 2 साल तक वो मुझे लड़की की तरह देखें, और फिर जब उन्हें पता चला कि मैं एक लड़की हूँ तो वो काफ़ी, उनका एक्सप्रेशन बहुत पॉजिटिव था, उन्हें बहुत अच्छा लगा कि हाँ, मुझे पहले से लगता था कि ये है लड़की ही है, लड़का नहीं है, क्योंकि जब हर चीज़ लड़कियों की तरह है तो कोई लड़का कैसे हो सकता है। तो ये मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता था, लोग मेरी रिस्पेक्ट भी करते थे।
It was easier for Abhaya to reveal her identity when she lived with her grandmother, simply because they accepted her. She gradually started being in public domain when she changed her name and the way she dressed herself, who actually she tends to be. Furthermore, her teachers and peers in school were welcoming towards her. Then what went ugly after that, when her parents came to take her back?
मैं बचपन से नानी के यहाँ रहती थी। जब मेरे मौसी और मेरी नानी के गुज़रने के बाद जब मैं अपने घर गई अपने पापा के पास, तो उन्होंने मुझे देखा कि इसका शरीर तो मतलब लड़कियों की तरह लग रहा है, इसका पूरा बनावट लड़कियों की तरह लग रहा है और चलने का ढंग, इसका आवाज़, सब चीज़ बिल्कुल लड़कियों की तरह। तो वो लोग सोचे कि इस चीज़ को करेक्ट करें, इसके बॉडी को ठीक करें। वो मेरे साथ बोलते थे कि एक्सरसाइज करो, जिम करो, ताकि मेरा जो ब्रेस्ट है वो बिल्कुल लड़कों की तरह, लड़कों का जैसा चेस्ट होता है वैसा हो जाए। मेरा वॉइस भारी, मतलब जो हार्डनेस होती है लोग लड़कों में वैसा हो जाए, और मेरा फेस जो है वो भी चेंज हो जाए। इसके लिए वो क्या करते थे कि मेरे चेहरे पर जो रेज़र होता है तो वो मेरे पे चला देते थे, जिसकी वजह से मेरे चेहरे पे रिएक्शन हो जाता था और मुझे बहुत छोटे-छोटे एक्ने हो जाते थे। वो मुझे साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास ले गए और फिर उसके बाद साइकियाट्रिस्ट बोला कि इसकी जो आइडेंटिटी है उसी में रहने दीजिए। तो मेरे पापा सोचते थे कि ये जो है एक बीमारी है, तो वो मुझे मारने लगे, पीटने लगे और फिर उसके बाद मेरा कपड़ा भी जो उतार देते थे। तो ये मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा हर्ट करता था, क्योंकि मुझे किसी के भी सामने अपना पूरा कपड़ा उतारना या फिर मुझे इस तरीके से जो करना मुझे बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं था।
In India, a child has the right to be protected from neglect, exploitation, and abuse. In a research conducted by government in 2007 suggests that 69% of children aged between 5 to 18 years are victims of abuse at home. 4 out of 10 transgender children face sexual abuse before completing 18 years. The abuse begins as early as age 5.
तो मैंने एक डिसीज़न लिया कि मुझे सुसाइड कर लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि मेरे से नहीं हो पा रहा था, एक लड़के का रोल प्ले नहीं हो रहा था। तो मैंने सुसाइड कर लिया और उस टाइम मेरे मामा आए हुए थे घर पे, तो वो जल्दी से मुझे हॉस्पिटल लेकर के चले गए।
Research finds that transgender youth are at greatest risk of suicide compared to their non transgender peers as a result of rejection, bullying, and other victimization. In other words, for some transgender youth, family support can be the difference between life and death.
It was like a tattoo on her forehead that labeled her with boy. It burned with the passion and left her mind in a whirl. She knew who she was, but others stated that they knew her better. You're not a girl, they said, and proceeded to call her him. And hence, we continued killing, suppressing these little birds.
Have you ever questioned why does it really happen? Why these children have to specifically face so much of discrimination? Well, other than the mindset, lack of our awareness is one major problem. Our awareness is important for better future of these children, because an adult still fight for their rights, but a child can't. It is more so because of a misinformation.
A transgender person is often confused as intersex or third gender, known as Kinnar or Hijra in India, although two of them are different. Intersex is a condition where a particular biological sex of a person is not identified. But the question is, how will the person be aware of all this?
The society never talks about it. Our education never mentions it. Well, if this awareness is given to our children from a young age itself, if they are taught about gender identities and biological conditions that exist, we can expect a better future for these underprivileged in our country. This education will also help transgender to be more aware of their own body and help them take right steps biologically.
जब तक जिंदा है बचपन तब तक जिंदा हूँ मैं, समी छूते आकाश में एक परिंदा हूँ मैं। वर्तमान में जो मौजूद है वो पसंदा हूँ मैं, भविष्य की ना सोचता ना शर्मिंदा हूँ मैं, किसी सीमा में ना बंध पाऊँ बेइंतहा हूँ मैं। जब तक जिंदा है बचपन तब तक जिंदा हूँ मैं।
The most difficult thing in the world is to reveal yourself, to express what you have to. Abhaya is one of them. You know, she is more of a Jimi Hendrix who said once, the idea is not to rebel, the idea is to communicate. And for everyone to be respected regardless of what group you might to be in. She wanted to be in peace, not like no one to question her or bother her about, but rather which body she tends to every single day. She loved her Nani, as she was one major reason of her happiness above all odds and fall. He stood by her side anyway, and when that too is not with her. Already so much of thing had happened, is happening. Can we humans do least of our part? And that only demand is, let that him be her be him, whatever they feel to be. Let us be the sun, and they be the rainbow.